economy space. Therefore, I wanted to just give you a snippet of what potential in terms of fisheries the blue economy space is in the Lake Victoria. In the last year, the contribution to GDP of our country was around 0.5 to 0.6%. And this is something that we need to grow up to at least 10%. And we can do it. The potential of blue economy is between 150 billion to 300 billion in Kenya. But we are just a small fraction of it. We have only contributed 35.9% according to statistics, and out of that, Lake Victoria has contributed only 12 billion of the same. How do we grow this? How does government come in to support the investment in this space? I'm happy today I'm joined by two important key stakeholders in this space, from the investment arm, and I'm sure you'll be able to talk about it, and also from the private sector on ways on how we can be able to create a conducive environment for business to thrive. Therefore, I'll only speak basically on the plans we have made and the plans we are doing as Government of Kenya. In this space, we have already done the regulatory and the governance and the policy instruments to ensure business people, our fisher folk, our women, the marginalized groups are supported. The second part we have done as Government of Kenya is investment. In the last year, we have already constructed 4 landing sites in the Lake Victoria region and handed over to the county government to continue supporting the BMU units in the management of the same. This current financial year, we'll be doing 9 landing sites at a cost of 1.5 billion through the support of Government of Kenya and our development partners, IFAD. These landing sites will have the fish processing units, they'll have the ice making machines, they'll have the cold storage facilities, a place whereby the fisher folk, our women, can be able to sit and have decent meetings. They'll be solar powered because we understand the challenges sometimes we have with the grid. The second component we are doing is support aquaculture and cage farming. We'll be investing close to $1 billion on the same in cage culture, providing inputs, that is the feed and the seed on the same. We'll also be providing grants for the entire Luo Nyanza region. These are the intervention the government of Kenya is doing, and our able leadership of His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, so that we can be able to grow the sector. This is not all. We have planned more interventions in the coming subsequent years, and we'll be working very closely as we continue to work. And I just want to acknowledge and recognize and appreciate all the governors, all the leadership of the county governments of the entire region. We couldn't have done this without you. And we are here today to support the investment. We have had very many conversation engagements with the private sector, as I said earlier, CISA, Global Tilapia, Sorry, and many other friends that we have engaged to ensure that they have a conducive environment to thrive in business. So for me here is just to offer our commitment, and on behalf of my Cabinet Secretary, His Excellency Hassan Ali Joho, we will be able to support the blue economy and fisheries sector in both fisheries, aquaculture, maritime transport, maritime security, tourism, and many other components that covers the blue economy sector. So, Your Excellency, the Governor, I think I've made a few remarks on the same and the plans we have as government. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Very much. Thank you very much, PS. Let's give her another round of applause. Asante sana. I'd like now to welcome John Mwendwa. Please come and tell us, give us an overview of investment space in Kenya and with a focus deep dive in Nyanza. Karibu.
Thank you, Your Excellency. All protocols observed because that has been done. Mine is to run through a couple of slides and tell you exactly why is it important to invest in Kenya, So I'm here to give you the language of business that investment community want to hear. Good. So we are in Nyanza today, but I want us to talk about 3 perspectives. The first one is I want us to go global, then we arrive here local. We give you some snippets about why Kenya, and then we'll talk about the work we are doing with county governments and the bankable investment opportunities we have here, just a couple of them. So, if you look at the graph that is there, it is just good to understand and contextualize what is really happening globally today. If you look at the very top, the 1.245 number, that is the number in trillions of dollars that was FDI as of 2023 globally. That $1.2 trillion, Asia took the largest share, North America, and Africa is somewhere at the bottom. We took just about $53 billion. And there is a reason this number is very important. And this context is important so we understand what do we need to do to come from there to here. And just moving on swiftly, please move on. Some of the sectors that investors globally are looking to do business in are as listed there. There is a lot of movement and investment potential in power, renewable energy, transport, and some of the sectors you're seeing here. But these sectors do not actually include opportunities in greenfield investments, which take the largest share of investments globally, and things like mergers and acquisitions. I am just trying to say, if you're thinking global, this is where it is happening, and we must land it here. And it's just important to understand, as we focus on investments, what are we looking at? And you can see some of the areas we are focusing on as a country, including that some of them that are here, are happening out there in the global stage. Let's then proceed to Africa. If you come to Africa, you will see that we only account for $53 billion of FDI in the last recorded report by UNCTAD in 2023. And you can see on the left in West Africa, some countries are really making it happen. $1 billion in Morocco, Ghana 1.4, DRC, it's of course in Central Africa there, 1.6. Kenya on the right side, about $1.5 billion. Annual investments, FDI foreign. Egypt is a giant up there. Ethiopia is, of course, giving us a run, but we are catching up. But this is just important to understand that in the whole of the EAC, for example, we had $8.5 billion. Kenya had just $1.5 billion, and there is potential. Now, if you proceed on to my next slide, if you specifically then come to Kenya, you will see that in 2013, we nearly hit $2 billion. And in 2022, we're about $1.5 billion. So we have been steady, but we could do better. If you can contextualize this with what I gave before, we really need to see how to pace up. But on the right side, as we talk about foreign investment, is also direct domestic investment, or domestic direct investment, DDI. Central bank data is telling us that in the last 18 or so months, 500 billion Kenya shillings worth of credit was given to private sector in this country, which means it's for businesses and private investors who are potentially existing, and the bulk of that is in manufacturing and trade. So there is plenty of capital, and I will be talking about that, the opportunities as I progress forward, but it's just good to understand you. So why are we really saying invest in Kenya today? We know this story, it has been told, I will just gloss over it. But if you are in Kenya, you have access to global markets. We have the EAC market, the numbers are there, I will not read them. We have done AGOA recently, the US. There's the hopeful renewal of AGOA to connect our people to the market in the US. Recently, His Excellency the President was in the UAE. There's a SEPA agreement. We know there are many opportunities we have on renewable energy. We are beyond 90% green, and we continue to offer objectives that are aligned to green production. We are the logistics hub and innovation hub of this region. The narrative is known. We offer an array of investments. If you are investing in Kenya today, you can 100% repatriate your profits. We have an environment of plug and play, EPZ, SEZs. Everything is ready for you when you're investing in Kenya. We know we are a giant in the region, and I'll be talking about the opportunity in Nyanza shortly. And the CS education spoke about our talent and our skill set that is available for people to really tap in and to be able to serve any investors here. There are many more enablers and sound bites that are good for Kenya. We just want to share some of them with the people in this room. Now, moving on swiftly so that we can land here, we really need to ask ourselves, when investors come to Kenya, where do they go? And they come to a county. So we have really worked with some of the counties in this region, but the ones that are represented mostly in this conference, Homa Bay, of course, His Excellency Governor Wanga's conference, and a few other activities in her area, in Kisii as well, the Kisii County Conference, in Kisumu, there are free cities that His Excellency Governor Nyong'o did recently, and we continue to work on a few other projects that are listed there. These are just some examples. In Migori, on some opportunities on blue economy that the PS and her team in the ministry are leading on. In Nyamira, of course, there's an investment unit there. His Excellency is doing something around that. And of course, there are some plans in the pipeline with our colleague, His Excellency from Siaya. We want to see whether we can be able to do something. But moving on swiftly, these are just some of the context. Now, what are we trying to really do in the investment space with counties today? There is a very important narrative and a program of government with counties on the county aggregation industrial parks. Others have county non-KIPE but industrial parks. We understand some of them are in different stages of completion. The counties that are shaded on that, about 11, 12 of them, we understand they are near ready with 100% financing. We want to see how we can partner with counties to really make them ready for investments. We want to help you profile them better, make them ready, and we have offered to see whether we can help at least in bankability preparation for at least one value chain opportunity, so that as we work with financiers, when you do open up your county aggregation industrial park, you can have an investor on ground and we can do groundbreaking. We understand the language of investment from preparation and from conceptualization to groundbreaking takes a bit of time. So we are also hoping to work with counties in terms of investor targeting and structuring the transactions available in the counties to make this happen. The second item is really on how to get better organized on investment conferencing. We are glad the organizers of this event have gone out globally to bring people here, local and international. We want to really see whether we can do a checklist that enables us to be better organized. So we do prior planning so that when investors come here, like the 10 that are going to sign agreements here, we are signing investment memoranda that has gone through a lot of conceptualization, thinking, financial modeling, etc. And we want to offer that ecosystem. The third item is we have a database of projects that we can work with counties and investors who are here, and we are open to invite more projects from counties to come and work with us so that we can really see whether we can link them to you and go to the ground. If there is an investment opportunity that is here that is not with us yet, we want to welcome you to work with us to be able to assist you on joining our pipeline. We will be producing very shortly a national deal book of investment transactions, and that transaction to be listed in a national investment deal book has to be viable, has to have been packaged properly so that it can meet the threshold of financial close and ground breaking so that investments can really happen on the ground. And my last 2 slides as I conclude is these are some examples of investment projects that are bankable in this region today. There are many more that has been spoken to, but I'll just highlight on this because this is a language that investors want to hear. In Homa Bay, aligned to the blue economy agenda, there's the fish processing plant, which is really highly a technological investment, a good ticket size of $5 million. We estimate the numbers to make it a viable opportunity. The internal rate of return is 18%. And we think with the increased focus on this and with a bit of support from the county government in terms of the business ecosystem, the numbers will get better in terms of return on investment to do that. The models that you can adopt as an investor willing to take up this opportunity is either a build, own, and transfer model, which is a BOT, or the PPP model, or JVs. The flexibility around this is available. We want to work with the investor and the county and national government to realize this. In Kisii, there is a healthcare institution with nearly $100 million investment, which is available. The numbers are quite good, double-digit IRR. Nearly 25%. Again, option of partnership and the model of structuring to make it happen is available. In Kisumu, there is a convention center which has just been brought to our attention. We think is a viable investment opportunity. The numbers indicatively is around $14 million today. We can work with the county of Kisumu to see how to make this ready and happen and agree what is a possible structure around it. In Migori, we have the abattoir. Again, of course, in the livestock value chain, a $5 million transaction. None of the IRRs in this region are literally below 15%, so fairly attractive projects. We want to open up the deal room and see whether you can look through the data there and look at these opportunities. And of course, in Nyamira, we have another $13 million project on an agro-processing park. And we want to see whether the opportunity to lease that land to a private investor can be available. And finally, in Siaya, a $90 million renewable energy plant that is available. We want to see whether through the county and partnership with the national government Ministry of Energy colleagues, we can see what that means. This is just but a flavor of what is really available here. We want to share more opportunities and ensure we walk them through that value chain. We are available to help investors walk through the journey, and through partnership with the Kenya Development Corporation, which is here today on the back of this meeting, we have a side event where we want to talk to investors, listen to opportunities that you have, and help you so that we can really walk the journey to make it happen. We are here finally as we conclude. I understand my chairperson of the board, Madam Sally Mahi, who is here. She was forgotten. I'd like to appreciate her and recognize her, and want to support the theme of this conference, which is on really the support of the economic development of this region. We are excited at the opportunities that are here, and we will work with you both at the county level and the investment community to make investment happen. Our mantra is we are now translating lead opportunities, and that's the language you want to speak. I thank you very much. Thank you.
Earlier, my governor introduced herself as the #1 ambassador of investment to Homa Bay. Governor, let me say that I am the #2 ambassador of investment to Homa Bay because as a major investor in Homa Bay, the county has been very accommodating. And really, I would encourage any serious investor to Nyanza to make Homa Bay County their first stop. So, fish farming is an interesting two words because fish farming is not only about fish farming. If we unpack the value chain in fish farming, let's talk about the production of feed, for example. Now, we are building the largest feed mill, fish feed mill in Eastern Central Africa in Homa Bay County. Now, this feed mill will require inputs. Those inputs, such as what you heard here, sunflower, soya, maize, those inputs have to come from the farmers who are available around that feed mill. Let's move from a feed mill, and let's not even consider the jobs created in that feed mill. How about seed, fingerlings? Many fish farmers do not want to get into the production of fingerlings for their fish farms. There's immense opportunity, very lucrative opportunity in growing good quality fingerlings for the market. I know of a farmer in Kindu Bay who exclusively does fingerlings. If you leave feed and seed and proceed to production, there are many fish farmers who do not want to deal with other details, but are good at putting fish in ponds or cages and growing them for 8 months. If we could give them the opportunity to do what they do best by giving others the opportunity to embrace and take advantage of the different components of the fish farming value chain, we improve and increase commercial activity within Nyanza. Moving away from production, there is an immense opportunity in cold chain logistics. How many fish farmers do you hear are stuck with their fish at their ponds? They do not know where to take those fish after growing them for 10 months. Many. That is a whole business waiting to happen. And at the end of that cold chain logistics, there's the sale and distribution of fish. Victory Farms has got an army of over 15,000 market women, also known as Mama Samaki, who sell our fish out here. Keep in mind that there is a shortage of fish in Kenya. So there is a lot of space for expansion, not just of production, but expanding this force of SMEs to get that fish to the final consumer. So when I say fish farming is not just about fish farming, it is true. Let's not restrict our imagination. There's so much more that can come out of fish farming that will transform this region. Governor, you talked about the opportunities, what we have done in regards to women. So first, I've already talked about the SMEs created. For some reason, these 15,000 Mama Samakis are literally that. They are Mama Samakis. Women are the ones who have embraced this opportunity. And there is space for many more women to continue to embrace this opportunity. But we have also seen women grow from small enterprises into medium enterprises. So we have Mama Samakis who now other Mama Samakis. It is not a stagnant business. It is a business that has got opportunity for growth. Secondly, around our farm where we produce fish, there used to be a terrible practice called fish for sex. No. It is fortunate that that practice does not exist anymore. It's a shameful practice, and because Victory Farms is able to provide quality fish at reasonable prices when they need it, that practice of fish for sex died. It no longer exists. Governor, I think I will restrict my comments to that. I do have a full presentation later on, and I'll dive a little bit more into some of the comments that I've made. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that will mark the close of our discussions because of time, and we have to give way to the next panel. I see the next moderator is already here, but what has been said is the Lake region is open for investment, and they are bankable, as highlighted by Ken Invest. The governments at national and county levels are committed and investing and putting in place a policy framework that is friendly, as highlighted by our PS, and that this is possible on ground, as highlighted by Caesar. Thank you very, very much, and God bless you as we continue with our discussions. And thank you very much to our panelists for that very useful discussion. Asanteni sana.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to our great first panel for our investment conference. Your Excellency, Madam Governor, please pose for a picture here together with your panelists, and please give a round of applause for ably taking us through the investment landscape, particularly the blue economy. So I'll follow the guidance there really quick. Thank you. Fred, I'll ask you to please join the team. Okay. I also want to mention that thanks to the great initiative, this is actually talk and actions, right? Thanks to the investment conference that Madam Mwanga hosted, she had 19 MOUs signed, and she has 6 currently in implementation, and that's just over a year ago. So speaking into the potential that we have moving in from the conversations to the deals. So please give a round of applause, of course, representing the larger Lake Region Economic Bloc. Ladies and gentlemen, as I'm duly advised, as the team settles down, we will not formally break, but we'll just proceed on. As John mentioned, indeed, the language of business is timekeeping, and we're just following the money. So allow me to just advise that we'll have a rolling program where we'll have the next few panels, just 2 panels before we break for lunch. Each will be just about 30 minutes, and after which then we can proceed on to our breakout session. Ladies and gentlemen, our breakout session, and in case you just joined us online, will be on www.nyanza, I'll repeat, www. .nyanza.org. That's where you can download the conference program. Please follow through what's happening. On stage. After the next panel sessions on agriculture, food security, nutrition and health. This will be ably moderated by Dr. Caleb Olweni Ochia. If you can just come up. And then I can have Professor Agassi. Makoha as well on standby, who will be moderating the panel on technologies and as the main
contribution to the development of the region. How can we ensure, for example, that they have got the correct skills, the education they need, that they are properly facilitated to make their greatest contribution in Nyanza? So that's very important. Now, whereas Nyanza has 13% of the country's population, Nyanza sits on only approximately 12,600 square kilometers of surface area. What does that mean? That is only 2% of the country. So the immediate implication of this is that we've got some of the highest population densities in Nyanza. Nyanza has got a density of about 530 people per square kilometer. The other 41 counties have got average population density of about 80 people. Kenya in general has got population densities of less than 100 people per kilometer square. So you can see that the densities in Nyanza are fairly high. I'm going to come back later to the implications of that. Between 2019 and 2023, the population of Nyanza grew by 8%. That means Nyanza added more than 506,000 people to its population. During the same time, the number of households in Nyanza increased from 1.8 million to more than 2 million. Why is this important in the conference we are having now? Because housing is going to be a really important consideration, because by the year 2030, Nyanza will require more than 2 million houses for its population. So that's critical for us to have in mind. The second slide, please. Now, in the context of Kenya's devolution and Kenya's fiscal decentralization, it is important to consider the fiscal performance of Nyanza's 6 county governments and the implications that this performance might have for economic development, but also for attracting investment. In fiscal year 2023, the combined budget estimates for Nyanza, that's the 6 county governments, was more than 66 billion Kenya shillings. That's roughly 12% of the budget of all of the 47 county governments. Total transfers from the national government, I'm talking about the equitable share and the conditional allocations that come from the county governments, those amounted to more than 46 billion Kenya shillings, while locally generated revenue was only about 5.3 billion, which was 70% of targeted collection. So we can see that there was improvement, but we can see that there is still a gap in terms of local revenue generation. Total expenditure by the 6 county governments amounted to nearly 50 billion shillings, of which 75% went into recurrent expenditure. Only 23% went into development. And I think that this is going to be an important consideration as we meet the next 2 days, because development spending is what triggers economic growth primarily, and it's also what drives investment in our counties. So that's going to be an important consideration for us to have. The 6 counties of Nyanza, their average budget absorption rate was about 75%, which is slightly lower than the average for all of the 47 county governments put together. Why is this important? Why this is important is that budgets not absorbed represent an opportunity cost in terms of public services not delivered to the populations we were just looking at. So there is room for improvement in that sort of context. Let's move to slide number 3, please. Now, in measuring and comparing economic performance of county governments, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics uses a metric that is known as the gross county product. And this is a measure of the net market value of all of the final goods and services that are produced within each county. According to KNBS, estimates of gross county products can be used for, among other things, gauging investment potential of the counties. Now, the most recent report by the KNBS was published in 2024, and it tracks the economic potential of all the 47 county governments. According to those statistics, Nyanza contributes 9% of Kenya's GDP, and in the year 2023, this was equivalent to 820 billion Kenya shillings, having grown from 713 billion shillings in the year 2019. Now that's an improvement of 15%, equivalent to 109 billion Kenya shillings. So growth is happening, okay? And I like the title that was used in by the conference organizers, Nyanza Rising. Now Nyanza Rising is not going to happen in the future. Nyanza is already rising, going by these numbers here. Shall we move to the next slide, please? Between the year 2019 and 2023, the economies of Nyanza's 6 counties grew on average by 3.4% relative to Kenya's GDP growth of 4.6% in gross value-added terms. Kisumu and Kisii grew by more than 4% each. 16 counties in total recorded growth rates more than the national average. 5 counties recorded growth rates below 3%, with 3 of these counties registering growth rates of less than 2%. And as you can see, Siaya, one of our Nyanza counties, falls in that category. What I see is potential for improvement. The next slide, please. Now, during the 5-year period, 2019 to 2023, the 6 Nyanza counties contributed significantly to Kenya's gross value added in the economy's main sector. Nyanza's greatest contribution was in agriculture, forestry, and fishing, and I believe that this is the sector where the blue economy that we have just discussed falls into. In this particular sector, the 6 Nyanza counties are responsible for 13% of gross value add for the whole country, with Kisii contributing the highest, as you can see in the chart in front of you. Nyanza's contribution to services, manufacturing, and the secondary sector activities is estimated at 8%, 7%, and 6% respectively, with Kisumu County contributing the highest among the Nyanza counties in each of the 3 sectors I've just talked about. I just want to clarify that manufacturing in this context includes both formal and informal sectors. So it includes what we refer to as the Jua Kali sector, what is carried out by the unincorporated household enterprises. And also just to point out that the secondary sector activities include mining, quarrying, water supply, electricity generation, construction, etc., etc. Now, this is critical for Nyanza as we have these discussions on investment. And why is that so? Because the opportunity is how can Nyanza enhance contribution of natural resource-based subsectors while also diversifying its contribution into services, manufacturing, secondary activities, etc. So those discussions are going to happen in detail in the next a few days. Next slide, please. The CES for Education, in his opening remarks, he highlighted some of the socio-economic challenges that Nyanza would have to overcome to attain its potential. One of those challenges is poverty, and poverty remains one of the main challenges inhibiting economic development, but also inhibiting investments, because investors want to go where people can buy their goods and services. And so poverty is an impediment to economic growth, and poverty is also an impediment to investment. However, I'm happy to indicate that during the last 10 years, Nyanza has made significant strides in dealing with poverty, which is a major objective of economic development, but also a key objective of our investment efforts. Between the year 2015 and 2022, the overall poverty index in Nyanza appears to have remained more or less the same on average, while the overall poverty incidence in the country worsened, as you can see in the graph on your extreme right hand. What this means for Nyanza, however, is that approximately 2.5 million people, most of them in the rural areas, cannot meet basic food and non-food items. So Nyanza, in order to attract all the investment it needs, but in order to grow, Nyanza will also need a coherent strategy for dealing with poverty, as this will unleash the region's economic potential and prospects for investment. Final slide, please. So Nyanza is growing, perhaps not as fast as expected, but we believe that there are prospects to escalate that pace of economic growth. The region has got tremendous resources, people, finances, natural resources, as we have just heard, and lots of advantages of geography. So the key questions, these are the questions that I began with, is that whereas Nyanza is growing economically, how can that pace of economic growth be escalated? How can that development be made more inclusive, both geographically, but also for different population segments? And finally, once we have achieved that development and that investment, how can we ensure that we sustain these for the longest period in time? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your audience, and looking forward to hear your thoughts and suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's Mr. Fred Oegi, who's the economist, public policy expert, giving us an overview on Nyanza. Just before I invite the moderator for the session on agriculture, food security, nutrition and health, I'd like to announce Dr. Nahashon Aseka. Please help me welcome Dr. Nahashon Aseka to join the rest of the panelists on stage. He's the former managing director at Mumias Sugar, and he'll also be giving a presentation. I now want to hand over the next set of the program for just under 30 minutes. Dr. Caleb Olweni Ochia to take it up from here.
Thank you. Can you clap for Nation as it's coming up? Ladies and gentlemen, I have my three panelists seated already. We have the PS, State Department of Agriculture. We have CESA that we've listened to before, and the Nation is coming. Agriculture is quite fundamental in terms of GDP. We know its nexus to health, and of course, as a feedstock to raw materials, and of course, how much it can do to support livelihoods. Without wasting time, let me introduce my first panelist, Dr. Paul Rono, who will be taking us through agricultural transformations and increased investments, strategies under bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Welcome, sir.
All right, thank you. First of all, let me recognize the following: our CS in charge of education, Excellencies the Governors, Attorney General, the PSS Presidents, the President of the Kenya Chamber of Commerce, the investors, the exhibitors, and of importance, our farmers. Good morning. It is afternoon. And of course, the key organizer, Honorable Owalo. I must mention this because when this forum was being created, I remember the Deputy Chief of Staff really took a personal plan to ensure that it happened. I remember, Owalo, you sent me a team of experts to discuss facts and figures and what way to go on matters Nyanza and also the whole region. I remember we discussed with the team and we agreed that we need to stop putting things on paper and leaving them on shelves to really going to full implementation. And ladies and gentlemen, if we might forget anything in this forum, please write notes and bring to our offices so that we can implement. As you write your big document, which sometimes remain a draft in the shelves, because we cannot wait any longer. From the discussion I have had, from the CEs, from the governors, from all the speakers, there is great potential in this region, and there's a lot of report written about it. And we are saying this should not be another report. This should be an implementation report, an action agenda, so that next time we will not be saying we have the second largest freshwater lake. The question will be asked, so what? So what? We need to say, we have done 1, 2, 3. And then you will be asked why. You say because we have the second largest lake or freshwater lake in the region. That makes sense. That is where we want to move going forward. Otherwise, allow me to go to facts and figures. Receive greetings from the CS, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Honorable Senator Mutai Kakwe, who would have liked to be here with us. Also receive greetings from our farmers. I'm saying that because I want to ask this question. If there is anybody who have not eaten for 1 week, put up your hand. 1 week. If there is anybody who have not eaten for maybe 2 days, put up your hand. No. Maybe 1 day only, put up your hand. We need to ask ourselves, even after this, that we'll be going for lunch, but we have never asked ourselves, who normally produce this food? And that is why our farmers is so central to matters to do with food security, which is real security. And that is why in SDG 1.2, it talks about a lot of food. And then number 3, discuss elements to do with health, which means you have eaten well, then you are healthy. I'm happy to have the PSS here who are in a cohort. Me, I'm in production with PS Petsy. I think she has talked. We are on production. BS Livestock, we are on production. After production, we just take to PS Industry to tell us whether we can do agro processing. And that is why he's here. But before that, we normally ask BS Trade whether there is market for this production. Those are a question we put in a box. And then we say, how many people can we employ it? Then we go to PS MSME. And then we say, are there investors? Then we have PS in charge of investment. Within the space and the discussion of this forum, I hope all those state departments will get a chance to tell you more, because in an investment forum, it is a serious forum of money included. I want to go direct to facts and figures. Let us talk about people. I have liked the population of Nyanza, that it is growing at a very high rate, 8%. Think about it. By year 2030, it will be 2 million mouths to be fed by year 2030. But I want to scare you that by year 2050, the population of the world will have grown from the current 8.2 billion to 9.7 billion by the year 2030. Come to Africa. By the year 2050, the population of Africa will have grown. The current population is around 56.4 around 1.5 billion to 2.5 billion by the year 2050. But come to Kenya slowly. We are talking about around 56 million people. But by the year 2050, the figures will have grown. The way you saw this region is growing, even Kenyans, also other regions are growing, 91.6 million. I'm saying that because when we talk about agriculture and we talk about food security, we talk about numbers. It is about numbers. That is very important. And as we have a small space in form of counties and regions, and as a nation, it is also important to look at the global market for our food, for our product, and also the dynamics which are affecting our production. The ministry play a very important role. It does that. And it is very hard, ladies and gentlemen, to put food on the table, to be the breadwinner. I hope you know it. Ministry of Agriculture is the breadwinner for Kenya. So I'm happy you raise your hand to say, even after this, you will take something. Every governor, you are a breadwinner for your county. You are a breadwinner for your county. When you look at the plans for this administration, we had 3 trenches. Train number 1 on food security pillar. I was expecting a presentation which we have identified around 12 value chains to be addressed under food security. Kukulatu. But let me tell you, as we discuss in this conference, we need to stop the word calling ourselves a food basket, to have a more transformative international thinking about how you can turn agriculture into commercial farming. Because food basket is good, but what does it mean to the farmer, to the economy of this country, which depends on agriculture? So we have maize being, you saw that 8%. Lazima chakula ilikuwa, mahindi ilikuwa, ukienda Bungoma, unaona imejaa, ukienda Homa Bay, and all the counties in this region. We have also Irish potato, we have sweet potato, we have dairy, we have fish, we have pork, and we have others like vegetables. That is on the line of production. When you look at the other trend of reduction in import, we need to say no more import. Or if we are to import, you need to have a very calculative way of importing. So we are talking about rice, wheat, sugarcane, honey, cotton, sorghum, oilseeds. We need to reduce on that one. So as we discuss about this space and we look for the investors, we'll be looking at strategies and intervention to see how best can we reduce on importation of food. Then we say we need to look at the other market, the international market, export pillars. We need to increase our export market. And we are looking at coffee, tea, miraa, fruits, nuts, vegetables, etc. Those are the days when the manifesto was being written. But things have changed. That sugar has come in to be one of our export crop. Because within only 1 year, we've been able as this government to manage matters to do with sugar. And I'm happy this region, sugar is big. We have managed to stop importation, and now we are moving to export. These are some of the key achievements the sector has achieved in terms of farmer organization, which I think PS is here on cooperatives to make sure that the farmers are organized very well, because the future of farming and the future of great investment in farming is to put our farmers into cooperatives. So I know PS Kileme is doing that, because if we really need to talk to farmers, they must be in a structured way so that investors are also able to appreciate and have an easier way of managing farmers. So we'll be looking at 1450 cooperatives, 1 per ward, so that we can give farm input to farmers, we can train farmers, we can also give our finances to farmers. At the same time, we'll also be able to assist them on things to do with post-harvest losses and also commercialization of the farms. Those are the areas I expect investors to look into. Almost the last is county government. It is true that agriculture is devolved. A lot is done at the county level. And we are saying as national government, as we discuss this investment model, I wish the national government has got no role where possible so that we enable all counties to do this work very well. Issues to do with extension services has been a serious concern and a challenge. If the county government can assist in this investment, identify how best we can engage capacity building for our farmers and travel along or work along with our farmers in terms of value addition, best agricultural practices, that will be a plus. I will just go to the last slide to tell you how we have performed on some of the sectors, especially the key areas which I think you may need to look into. Sugar, 2023 production was 472,000 metric tons. In 2024, it has gone to 832,000 metric tons, which is high above our national consumption. That is an area for investment. Region, let's sow sugar in the shelves in America. Let us put all our produce in the shelves in the international market. That is where we should be looking for. And as we look at this, we have this plan to lease out and look for strategic investors for our 4 sugar factories, which, as you are aware, it is now ongoing. That is open for investors so that there is a lot of value addition in agriculture so that we don't sell our product at the price of wood, yet we could have sold at the price of gold, just because we fail on value addition. On matters to do with rice, which I think this region you can assist us, I know the production went down because of lack of support, maybe structurally or policy-wise. But when you look at sugar, rice production, in 2023, it shoot to 244,000 metric tons against our production, our annual demand of 1 million metric tons. That leaves us as a ministry, as government, to import the remaining part. If you can assist on that, as an investor, as a region, we'll be more than happy. You go to cotton, this region is good in cotton. Please, investors and the Ministry of Agriculture, we have 1.7 million hectares of land, which we want investors to come and assist us use that land for production. Cotton, as we work with the county government, we want to request the investors to assist us in propagation of seeds and technologies required to upscale the production of the seed of what is called the open pollinated cotton seeds, so that we move from the current 18,000 hectares to 160,000 hectares in terms of production for cotton. Lastly is maize, that you know. This region, I depend on you. The fertilizers requirement for this region is over 1 million bags by year. If we can upscale this and come up with cottages and value addition, this is a sector where we can lead in Africa. As we talk now, Tanzania is leading in maize production, then is second in the continent, followed by Kenya. We produced last year close to 62 million bags of maize, and we are targeting this year over 80 million bags of maize. There is space for investors in terms of factories for fertilizers, in terms of agro businesses, and in terms of storage. County government and investors, there's no value investing in pipes if you don't invest in production. Those pipes will be empty. We need to move with speed and provide the necessary variety of seeds to our farmers in quality, quantity, and also climate proof, so that the pipes we are investing in will have production. Otherwise, we can have empty pipes, or you get disparate in terms of lack of focus as a county in these pipes. So let us give farmers seeds, let us support farmers to produce so that these pipes are utilized. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you well in this discussion, and we look forward as a ministry to supporting all investors in this conference. And I'm waiting for the document to come to the Ministry of Agriculture on which way to go so that we support all investors for such an international conference. Asante sana.
A round of applause. Thank you, Bwana Pierce. We are ready to give you big ideas to put money into. We have the prioritized crops that you've mentioned. I hope the outcome committee will give us good output so that you can put your money there. We have less than 10 minutes to conclude this. We are pressed with time. I want to invite Caesar. Caesar, you have less than 6 minutes. If you have slides that you need to display, kindly run through them. You had spoken earlier on the sustainable fish farming, the experience of Victory Farms.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. I will just reintroduce myself as a formality. My name is Caesar Asio from Victory Farms.
Thank you, Doc. That was good.
I have instructions to be quick, so I will try and abide by your instructions. So I am here to share with you lessons in sustainable farming at Victory Farms. Sustainable practices in business must be examined first in the context of prevailing business environment. The stability and predictability of the business environment is a prerequisite for growth and development of sustainable business practices. A lack of predictability in the legal and policy framework greatly disrupts business planning operations, as entrepreneurs are no longer able to definitively plan costs. Any sudden changes in industry regulations, for example, immediately diverts resource allocation from productivity to meeting costs associated with compliance as a priority. This greatly impacts forward planning, and by extension also impacts planning for sustainability and planning for growth. Sustainable fish farming refers to practices and strategies that enable fish farmers to operate in an environmentally friendly, socially responsible, and economically viable way. For example, Victory Farms branches do not use electricity to keep our fish cold or chilled. None of our branches are refrigerated. The farm in Homa Bay runs fully on solar during the day, and out in the fields, our ponds are filled by water pumps that run on solar. While our feed mill, our first feed mill, which is located in Naivasha, runs on geothermal and solar power. For the purpose of this presentation, however, we will examine a non-exhaustive list of 6 sustainable practices and strategies at Victory Farms. They are food and nutrition security, conservation, and a strong ESG focus. Victory Farms on vertical integration, Victory Farms is present in Kenya and Rwanda. We employ over 1,000 staff, feed over 60 million fish meals per year through 100 retail branches, and have 15,000 female-led SMEs, better known as Mama Samaki. This is possible because Victory Farms is fully vertically integrated. That means we control our entire value chain and benefit from the standardization, synergies, efficiencies, and savings. We engage in fish breeding and local feed production. We produce eggs from our broodstock. The eggs are hatched and transferred as fingerlings to a nursery in-house. Once ready, the fingerlings are transferred into our production cages. Production takes approximately 10 months without any hormones or antibiotics. We harvest directly into ice slurry and process the fish by scaling, gutting, washing, sizing, and then chilling. Thereafter, we distribute, ensuring that fresh chilled fish reaches all of our 100 branches within 48 hours of harvest. At each stage of vertical integration, we have built in sustainable practices largely on the back of innovation and data. The creation of highly customized feed, selective breeding, strict data and science-driven production, the strategic location of our branches in low and middle-income areas, and the reliance on data and analytics for each and every single customer has given us deep insights on how to continue growing as a sustainable, viable, and competitive business. Victory Farms has demonstrated that it is possible to establish a viable, scalable, environmentally responsible and sustainable commercial fish farm on Lake Victoria. Innovation plays a large part, but other factors such as good farm practice, research and development, adoption of appropriate technology, green energy, and the use of data in decision-making have also contributed significantly to realizing our sustainability goals. For me, the most interesting innovations that we are working on are to enhance sustainability at this time through selective breeding, customized fish feed, formulation of novel feed, advanced data analytics, and the outsourcing of egg production. Through selective breeding, we are working to create a healthy and robust, commercially viable African tilapia for use in tilapia. Now, tilapia aquaculture in the world is over 95% based on a single subspecies, originally from Africa, but developed and optimized in Asia for Asia. Consequently, Asia dominates global tilapia production. At Victory Farms, we are 18 months into a 5-year research program to gradually selectively breed a tilapia that will perform better in African conditions, and the progress is very encouraging so far. Today, we run a proprietary RAS hatchery that has the largest production capacity in Africa. A new high-tech hatchery with an advanced research capability is currently under construction. By the end of 2025, our new research facility will, among other things, be able to measure the fecal matter of each fish to determine the nutrient absorption of the feed. This will influence customization of feed formulation at our feed mill and open the doors to testing the viability of novel local feed inputs, such as sunflower, to replace some of the inputs that we currently rely on and bring to market quality, lower cost fish feed with high local content. Diligent data collection, interpretation, and analysis has given us useful insights into the opportunities to improve our business operations and efficiencies. we have managed to maintain tight quality control in process and production, resulting in less than 1% spoilage, less than 1% theft, and high cost efficiencies. Our flagship social innovation in outsourcing fish egg production is called the Homa Bay Extensive Aquaponics Program. We have partnered with community members to install fully equipped ponds on their land where we grow broodstock fish for egg production. We then pay the community members a royalty for eggs harvested. This has translated into an average monthly passive income of around $100. Victory fills up the ponds using solar-powered water pumps and flushes each one regularly to ensure the water quality remains optimal for broodstock. It is this water from the flushing process that is used to irrigate the surrounding fields, thereby allowing for crop farming even in the dry season. There has been a dramatic improvement in agricultural production, which is no longer dependent on rainwater. The success of this initiative has attracted the attention of some development partners who recently approved a $1 million grant for expansion. Working closely with communities, we see a promising future for the significant expansion of the Homa Bay Extensive Aquaponics Program. This initiative will positively impact food security and wealth creation through year-round high-value horticulture production and value addition. It will also provide fish eggs for Victory Farms without increasing our land ownership footprint. The scalability and replicability of this program means that there is a real possibility of it becoming one of the anchors that catalyze the transformation of the lake basin into a true breadbasket. This presentation will be incomplete if I did not mention the opportunity for fish farming to supply affordable, sustainably produced animal protein to fight food and nutrition insecurity. East Africa has a low per capita fish consumption of 7.5 kilograms. In comparison, the Egyptians eat 3 to 4 times more fish than East Africans. In East Africa, Kenya, unfortunately, has the lowest per capita fish consumption at only 3 kilograms. Found out that is the least cost animal protein. It is the most efficient feed to animal protein converter and has the lowest carbon footprint. As we farm one species of tilapia known as Oreochromis niloticus, we are also involved in conservation of an endangered species of tilapia known as Oreochromis esculentus. We have so far propagated and released over 500,000 fingerlings to traditional breeding sites. This initiative is in collaboration with Kemfree, Conservation International, the local community, and BMUs. A video clip. Is the video clip available? It's not. All right. Finally, we have a very strong ESG focus. Under the social bucket, we serve the mass market with quality, affordable white protein and empower over 15,000 market women to sell our fish. Under environment, we utilize renewable energy and promote regenerative agriculture as we produce a low carbon footprint animal protein. And under governance, we have engaged the local community as true partners and given them an opportunity to participate in the fish value chain. We also have a very comprehensive community engagement plan and use our CSR to sponsor community-centered initiatives like renovation of schools, donation of uniforms, books and equipment, scholarships to the disadvantaged, free treated drinking water, donation of rescue boats, renovation of hospitals, among many other things. Ladies and gentlemen, Thank you very much for your time.
Can you just clap for Caesar once more? Thank you, Caesar, for embracing the clean energy solutions, producing with the agenda lens, and of course, maintaining the sustainable aquaponics and embracing technology in your production. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite our last speaker, Nation Aseka. Nation has worked with the industry for a very long time. Nation, you have less than 7 minutes to give us how we can change or transform the sugar industry. That is actually employing 17% of the population and covering 15 counties in this country. Welcome, Nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here and talk about sugar. This is the birthplace of the sugar industry. I think the whole of East Africa. And I happen to work in the sugar industry. I've had long experience there. It has had its ups and downs. It has not gotten to its full potential. The sugar industry is an industry that has potential to bring a lot of growth to our countries in East Africa, to Kenya, and to Western Kenya particularly, because we have the climate that can make us grow sugarcane without needing a lot of investment in irrigation. We tend to have good rainfall, good sunshine, and that's all that sugarcane requires, plus of course good soils. Of course, if we want to talk about sugar, we can talk for a long time. But today, I wanted to focus on a few developments that have happened recently. The sugar industry has had its ups and downs. A few years ago, it was being managed as under Sugar Board. Then we changed it. We put all crops together in this organization called AFA. The exciting thing at the moment is that the Sugar Act has been resuscitated in the original form, and the sugar industry can now manage its affairs the way it is actually supposed to. To me, that is a major issue that people from this side of the country, particularly Nyanza and Western Kenya, a bit of Rift Valley and Coast, should actually look forward to enthusiastically and be sure to take control of this industry. I worked in the sugar industry when it was still wholly government driven, started being privatized. Then we came up with the Sugar Act, which made the industry grow quite a bit. Then somebody came up with this bright, well, I don't know if it was bright, but a good idea of putting them, all these crops together into an organization called AFA. Theoretically, yes, it looked like it will work well for all the crops. But we have seen, and one by one, each of those crops have had to live and get managed on its own. Sugar is the latest. At least we got our act together, and the president assented to, and signed what Parliament had already passed to put sugar industry to operate independently under the Sugar Act. This is a major development for those of us who know about sugar, because it makes decisions move faster, and farmers, workers, transporters and all the investors in the industry can reap their benefits more efficiently and in a way that they can actually account for their efforts. So I am here just to state at this forum that indeed the new Sugar Act has come in as a big boon to the industry and is going to help this industry. We are encouraging all players. Of course, now we have a lot of factories. Previously, we used to operate with only a few factories. Now there are a lot of factories. Most of them are operating under capacity. If the Sugar Act, because in the Sugar Act, there are aspects of just controlling the... Let's stop there. Now, the policy participation, market oversight, regulations, promotion, and compliance enforcement, these are things that are going to now be managed by the industry, while previously we were managed under big bureaucracy that was stifling the growth of the sugar industry. And indeed, if you look at the curve of the production of sugar, it was growing very well when there was the Sugar Act. You know, it first started without any proper regulations. Then we got the Sugar Act some years back. We got the Sugar Board to manage the sugar industry. Then it ran. During that period, actually the sugar industry grew. Then we came out with this idea of putting it all under AFA. And yes, there was a semblance of growth, but actually it did not grow. Although a lot of companies came up, a lot of millers came up and put up mills, what happened is that the total production went down and we are relying mainly on imported sugar. We are capable of being self-sufficient and exporting our sugar to the world market. And I believe this will happen in the next few years under the current dispensation that we have just been allowed to have. Next. Of course, under the sugar industry, this arrangement of sugar, we have the Sugar Board, the Research Institute, and where research, we also incorporate training. And then we have, of course, the private players. These organs manage themselves. The funds they raise, they invest some of it. Of course, a lot of the investment has to go with the people who invested in. But we also have to put aside funds that we have to plow back through research and through development and training. This is something we are going to embark on shortly. So today, we didn't want to talk much about this industry, but it is to just highlight this major development that has happened recently, and I would wish to thank the government, the president, the parliamentarians, to have actually accepted this idea, because we made presentations for a long time without it being heard, and we are happy it has been accepted, and we are in the position where the sugar industry is said to grow. The production, of course, as I said, it is dwindled. I'm not giving figures at the moment, but we all know we are importing sugar. We import a lot of sugar in this country because we cannot produce enough for ourselves. But we are capable of producing enough for ourselves and to export. That's what we would like to do in the next few years. We should be getting those results. And my plea for all participants, county governments and the central government involved, this is a driver for the economy. The sugar industry has a lot of money that can be injected in the economy at local level and even at national level. I wish that at this moment we just stop there and let the players get to the stage and let us see the results. The sugar industry at the moment it's not showing any signs, it's not anything, it is not posting results that anybody can be proud of. But yes, it is a mover, it is a place that you can generate a lot of money in a short time compared to all these other crops. We are hoping this is going to change now that we have this new dispensation, the Sugar Act. And that's what I wanted just to stress on this forum, because this is the center of sugar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we clap to Nation better than that? With the Sugar Act number 11 of 2024, we are promising hope. The structure is good, there's money, and we know the industry is going to support the economy of this country. At this point in time, let me hand back to the Director of Proceedings, and as we are setting off our three panelists, can we just give them a strong round of applause?
Government is here. So let me correct what Nation said about importation of sugar. I think it's a fact that we are no longer importing sugar, and we are overproducing. So that should remain a fact, that we stop importation of sugar, and it's in record, except the little sugar from Comesa. We reduce from around 500,000 metric tons. We only have Comesa around 100,000 metric tons, which is just to serve, to meet our bilateral relationship with Comesa. So I felt that I should correct the position as government. But I think Nation has been away, but that is the position of government.
Factual and realistic. For some of these facts, and the facts are giving the president to make pronouncements, then they backfire. It is a fact that the sugar factories have not performed well. Zoya is on its knees. In fact, we are almost shutting down because it's not producing. Chemelil, Muhoroni, Sony. So when you tell us that the production was very high, who produced this sugar? Who produced this sugar? We have to be realistic. I think Nation is right. We're having a problem, and we better face the problem and tell people the truth, that we have challenges and look for ways of improving what we are producing, other than just giving us statistics that are not factual.
I think the PS has a right of rebuttal. He'll have 1 minute to...
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Ochilo Ayako. I also come from a sugar-growing county that borders Homa Bay that also grows sugar. I can assure you, and the farmers may be here, that nobody is growing sugar anymore. This production is production of what? Where I come from, we, and Sony is represented here and others, we are begging farmers to come back to growing cane. So if we reckon that we are overproducing, where is the sugar cane that is being used or being milled to produce this sugar? That is the fact on the ground. I'm a witness to that fact. Thank you.
Do we have one last one, or do we invite the PS? There's one more. Can I take one more?
Sure.
My name is Dr. James Onsando. I am a seed systems consultant, but I'm also chairman of the board of Jomo Kenyatta. I want to respond to the blue economy, not sugarcane. Yeah. all water bodies, including wetlands, are state properties. And these properties need to be protected, including Lake Victoria. If we do not protect Lake Victoria, Asio, there will be an issue of sustainability. Because there is a tendency of pollutants from land getting into water bodies. And some of those pollutants can actually include heavy metals, which can get into the food chain and kill the goose that lays the golden egg. How do we mitigate this? In the laws of Kenya, all water bodies must have a riparian strip where you plant indigenous trees above of about 50 meters, 30 to 50 meters. What this does, it slows down siltation of water bodies. If you have siltation of water bodies, the sustainability of that water mass is threatened. Number two, if you have pollutants, including heavy metals and pesticides, getting into water bodies, then you are sacrificing the food security of fish. And I'm not saying this as a threat. I'm saying this because I'm looking ahead, sustainability. Will our grandchildren and their grandchildren find a viable Lake Victoria? If we continue this way, if we have all the silt getting into the lake, if we have some pesticides getting into the lake, if we have some industrial waste getting into the lake, if we have some organic affluent getting into the lakes, is this sustainable? My recommendation is, let us begin to shield off water bodies with some forestry plants like bamboo, which can make our water bodies healthier for the benefit of our children, their children, and their children. And I think that's critical.
Let me seek you in that. We'll have a plenary where we'll have those kind of detailed responses. For now, allow me to make this the last, and we are closing this session, and I'm advised that we can allow our panelists to step down. Can you give them a round of applause?
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to the end of the panel on agriculture, food security, nutrition. As rightfully mentioned by the moderator, we'll have an extensive discussion on this during our breakout session. As they take their photo, I'm having on standby the panel on technologies and innovation. This will be moderated by Professor Augustine Makoha. But before he does that, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, we do not have a formal break, but allow me to just ask you to stretch a bit. And to help us do that, please help me welcome Joe Demba, who will be leading the Kayamba Africa team for just about a minute for us to have a short stretch, and after which then we can jump into the panel that will be ably moderated by Prof. Makoha.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do a very brief performance because we've sat for a bit too long. So if you don't mind, please kindly be upstanding and stretch a bit.
at KCB Bank. He will be sharing with us his presentation on how we can be able to harness technology for investment. Welcome. You have 15 minutes to present.
Thank you. Thank you. Your Excellencies, governors present, the co-chairs of the organizing committee and the committee members, distinguished guests, investors, professionals from Nyanza, and the rest of the country in the room, good afternoon. My name is Dennis Volemi. As introduced, I am the Group Director of Technology at KCB Group, and I'll be making, I'm glad to be here to make some statements regarding the transformative role of technology in investments and technology. Before I dive deep into the topic, it's important just to give you a sense of KCB Group. KCB Group is one of actually the lead sponsor of this event. And maybe before I make my statements, if there are any colleagues from KCB, you could just stand up and wave. KCB Group includes, in Kenya, includes KCB Bank and National Bank of Kenya. We are present here. We are happy to continue to support this region. So, as a bank, we are present in 7 countries in the region with 8 banks, 7 banks, 7 countries, 8 banks. Because in Kenya we have 2 banks, we have KCB Bank Kenya and NBK. We have a total of 33 million customers across the region, cutting across Kenya, Tanzania, South Sudan, Rwanda, Burundi, and DRC. We have a total of 1.3 million agents and merchants serving you across the group, and 12,000 dedicated members of staff, a lot of whom are here, and we have a stand at the tent both for KCB and NBK. Kindly feel free to visit us when you get a moment. In the region, in Kenya alone, we have 210 branches, just for your information. Again, the largest bank, as you know it, by all factors, whether it's in terms of profitability, the size of our balance sheet, the coverage of the branch network and agency network, and our distribution infrastructure. And Governor of Homa Bay, I'd like to report that we opened, the latest KCB branch was opened in Kendu Bay in the month of December. And it was a very interesting period because this actually started trending online because for a week after we opened the branch, we couldn't work because the community was coming to visit and appreciate their branch. So a big up to the people of Kendu Bay and the governor. Thank you for supporting us. This is the first bank in Kendu Bay town. So it was a big milestone for Kendu Bay as a town and for that region that we value so much as KCB. I was asked today to speak briefly about the role of technologies and innovation in driving investments, both internationally in Kenya and across the region. And for this, I wanted to just speak at a high level at 3 different ways in which technology is driving investment in economic development. 1, technology is a catalyst for development. A catalyst for development because things that we couldn't do previously, or we couldn't imagine how to do previously, today are possible because of technology. And one of the panelists from the Victory Farms talked about how they're employing technology in driving the fishing, farming business within their business. Secondly, technology enhances access and services to markets. And in my next slide, I'll speak extensively about how this can be a critical catalyst for development and investments in this region. Technology also diversifies portfolios and drives investments. And as opportunities begin to come up, I don't know whether you would have heard, but in 2024, Kenya received the highest amount of FDI, specifically in innovation and technology, as funding coming to startups across Africa. traditionally, this space was dominated by Nigeria and South Africa, but is increasingly, as the tech savannah dream begins to become a reality in Kenya, we are seeing that technology investments are attracting a lot of investments. And that's an opportunity that this region and the leadership needs to reflect on what are those conditions that you as a leadership and professionals need to create within this county to attract those investments. On the emerging trends and innovation, this is not exhaustive by any means. I just thought to kick off the conversation, as the panel will be going deep into these areas, to talk a little bit at some of the emerging trends and how we see these trends influencing innovation and commerce. First of all is digital infrastructure. So what do we mean when we talk about digital infrastructure? Yeah? And it's the same thing as roads. Maybe let me draw a parallel to roads. Road is a part of transport infrastructure, and it provides a means to which people move from one location to the other and enables businesses to trade. For digital infrastructure, the first critical element is internet access. But even before internet access, it presumes that power or energy is present, because you cannot power up any electronic device if you don't have power. So I have presumed, leaders of Nyanza, that we do have power in every corner of every county in this region, and that is really a prerequisite to building the digital infrastructure needed. If that is not the case, that's where you need to start from. So power and energy is critical because it covers everything else that I'll speak about. So why is internet access important? Think about internet access as the road. It's the digital rails that all of the digital transactions or interactions in the digital world sit. So internet access is critical. In our country today, and I have had the benefit to visit all of our regional subsidiaries in the other countries, I can confirm from a digital and internet connectivity, we are doing well. But we're not yet there. We still do not have internet access in every part of our country. And as leaders in this region, what you must ask yourself, if you're looking to build digital infrastructure, what are you doing to ensure that every corner of this county has internet access? The second aspect of digital infrastructure is access to a device. So we finished. You have power, you have internet access, now you need a device, right? So every person in this region, a business, small businesses, individuals need access to a device. So I think the big question I'm asking to the investors who are here, what are the opportunities available to provide access to all individuals in this region, access to a digital device? Whether that is a mobile phone, which is predominantly the highest mode of access, or a computer, but a device is required. And then finally, it's platforms. So the platforms that facilitate mobile or commerce. And that now sits within the enablement that this region is providing to businesses that are looking to support digital transactions. So what is it that, as leaders, you need to provide in terms of the enablement for providers of e-commerce platforms to ensure that a farmer in Kendube, a fish farmer in Kendube who produces their fish, has access to market through the different mechanisms that are available. And this can be sorted by digital commerce or e-commerce. The next significant trend is AI and machine learning. It is a fact today, as we've seen how things are shaping up with AI and machine learning, and not just AI and machine learning. I picked AI and machine learning because it's the most significant trend. But if you look at even the American politics right now, controlled by the big techs, it is a fact today that boundaries, economic boundaries, will not exist in the future. So technologies that are coming to transform how business is done are going to disrupt all of your administrative boundaries available today. So the question is, are we originating any new ideas or innovation in AI that would be leaders globally and take advantage of this technology? On the other side, we need to remain aware that as we are still thinking and talking and planning in conferences, people are busy building. And as you have recently heard last year, one of the biggest Safaricom competitors for internet is not another local ISP, it's Starlink, right? Starlink, who are not licensed in Kenya, they just dropped satellites, and suddenly anybody from any part of the country can buy a satellite at 30,000 shillings and has access to internet in any part of the country. Yeah, so you can see increasingly these technologies are going to affect us, and as professionals from this region, we need to reflect deeply on what is it that we are doing, either to provide opportunities for our people or take advantage of the progress that's being made elsewhere in the world to make progress here in Nyanza. The next is fintech. Because I work for a bank, I have to talk about fintech. And fintech really is financial technology. Investments and development cannot happen without financial services. And that's why, as KCB, we consider this forum a very critical forum. So today, there are emerging technologies that are ensuring that everybody has access to financial services. And as KCB, I can report that we have got different products that serve the different ecosystems that we operate in. For micro customers, we have digital lending products available. We have a product called KCB M-Pesa. We have a product called Mobilon for our customers who can access lending services, for our micro customers who can access lending services on digital. We also have MSME loans that are supporting micro enterprises, access to credit, and we all know how critical credit is. And it's a good development that the MPC this week has announced the reduction in the CRR rate that will see an increase in access to financial services for customers. And then I think extensively there's been a lot of conversations on green technologies, and the idea is how do we, as this region, how are we positioning ourselves to take advantage of these developments. I can see I am being asked to conclude because I have run out of time. What are the challenges and opportunities? I'll conclude shortly. So the biggest challenges, as I have spoken briefly, is access. Access is a big problem. And access cannot be solved by one individual or one company or one governing entity. So there needs to be a lot of effort put in by leaders to promote access. So whether that's access to power, whether that's access to internet, whether that's access to devices, and an enabling environment for platforms that power digital commerce. So I want to urge all of you in that space to facilitate. The regulatory environment, I think it's good we have a lot of government in the room. So regulators need to play a critical role in this space. So this is a critical area to focus on. I think on my last slide, if you are to remember three things out of my speech, is that the key three things we need to do, really to harness the full potential of technology in Nyanza, is that we need a multifaceted approach. One, I've talked extensively about collaboration. So this conference is a good beginning, and our co-chair host indicated that there's an outcomes committee. It would be good for us to closely track the outcomes committee on what collaboration conversations are going on post this conference to power up the development and progress that we need to see. And as KCB and NBK, we are ready to play our role to provide financial services in banking, investments, insurance, to continue to power your collaboration. The next thing is capacity building. I think I didn't speak about this when I was talking about digital rails. The reality is, even if you have access, but you're not literate, you don't know what to do, then you can't utilize the capabilities that are available. So again, we have a tech-savvy young workforce. I think they talked about high literacy levels in the morning. 99%, 100% in Kisumu County had, which is quite impressive. So we need to continue to build capacity to ensure that our people understand the potential of these technologies. And I can also confirm that the KCB Foundation does play a critical role in capacity building, and this is something that we'll continue to do. And then, of course, finally is public-private partnerships, which I guess is testament to why we're here as KCB to support this initiative by leaders of this region to ensure that the region continues to make progress. Thank you so much for listening to me. Once again, I'd like to really welcome you to our stand and NBK to come and speak to us about the support that we can provide you in financial services to power your investments in the region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dennis Folemi. Let's give him a big round of applause. Yeah, he's just shared with us the ecosystem, the financial ecosystem that is available to support investments in various economic sectors. We are now going to jump into panel discussions where our panelists will now be going deeper into the discussions to provide some insightful and actionable strategies on how we can be able to leverage our technologies, our innovations, to be able to attract investments, to be able to promote investments within this region. So allow me to introduce my panelists. I have Honorable His Excellency, the Governor for Vihiga County, Wilbur Otichilo, who will be sharing with us on aspects of regulatory space and policies to be able to support adoption of technologies within our investment space. We also have our President of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, Engineer Shama Kiteme, who will be discussing broadly about adoption of technologies within infrastructure development, including agriculture, transportation, and energy sector. And we also have our panelist who is online. That is Ambassador Professor Bitange Ndemo. He'll be sharing with us on issues of digital technology. Professor Bitange Ndemo is the current ambassador of Kenya to the Kingdom of Belgium and the European Union. Welcome, Professor Ndemo. I hope you are online. Our technicians kindly assist us to have him online. In the meantime, we shall straight away, in the interest of time, jump into our discussions. And my first question will go to His Excellency, the Governor for... Okay, he's online. Thank you. I've just been informed that our online speaker is available. So I will go straight to Professor Bitange Ndemo. We understand that Kenya is considered a front runner in the technology space in Africa. And yes, and we want to hear from you, from your perspective, from your global experience, how can we harness this terrain, the digital technology terrain, to be able to tap into the potential, the available economic potential within the Nyanza region, to be able to create new opportunities for investment, and also how can we be able to create innovation and technology partnerships to be able to drive development and investments. So, Professor Ndemo, please share your insights and your expertise and perspectives. Okay, as Professor Ndemo comes online, we can hear from our Governor for Vihiga County, Honorable Wilbur Otichilo, on how can we be able to create supportive regulatory space and policies that can be able to support adoption of technologies and innovation to be able to unlock the investment potential within our region and promote development.
to most sincerely thank the organizers of this conference. We are very excited about it, and we are looking forward for very decisive decisions that will enable this region, the Lake Economic Region Center, be able to move forward. Now, back to your question. In our country, we have a lot of enough legal and policy framework on technology. We have Science, Technology and Innovation Act, which spells out how, as a country, we should move forward to use technology in our development agenda. We also have policies, ICT policy. So I would like to say that the policies are there. And even at the county level, most counties, through the initiative, the Council of Governors, they have put in place policies on ICT. What remains to be done is the implementation. It is the implementation that is the key, and this is where we should, through this conference and other forums, to agree on how to move forward and implement the laws that are well spelled out and they're good.
Okay, thank you, His Excellency the Governor, and I think we are still waiting for Ambassador Professor Bitam Ndemo to come on board. So I will jump to our engineer, the President of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, Engineer Shama Kiteme. We've heard that the Nyanza region really is very rich in terms of natural resources, including the blue economy. And we also understand that energy is the driver of all economic activities. And that means that if you invest in energy, then you are able to drive the rest of the economic activities. So share with us your insights, your thoughts, your perspectives, and your expertise on how we can be able to leverage technologies and emerging innovations to be able to tap into this available potential, to be able to have this region sustainable, self-sustainable in terms of energy that can be able to drive our economy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. And I'm very privileged to be here representing engineers in this country. And I hope we have engineers in the house. Do you have engineers in the house? Thank you very much. A good question, Professor. And we have heard this morning the amount of natural resources we have within this region. We were told about the second biggest freshwater lake in the world. And I recall that last year, 17th
so I will ask you to
February, I was in Kisumu City.
What you have,
doing something, and I was leaving around 9 a.m. And the temperatures were around 35 degrees Celsius. I took off and I went to Nairobi, and around 1 p.m., the same day, the temperatures were around 33 degrees Celsius. The question is, the natural resources that we have, how do we harness them, and how do we utilize them? Free sun, the sunlight for that matter, free freshwater lake. How do the two combine in addressing the issues that we face as a community and a society in this part of the world? The Institution of Engineers of Kenya has been very vocal in advocating for industrialization because we believe it's going to be transformative, it's going to create opportunities for young people, and it's going to be a catalyst for economic transformation. We took a trip to Germany last year to kind of benchmark. And one of the key things that emerged is that that country transformed through SMEs. Every other village you go across, the fourth family owns a unique industry. They all started like small carpenters, small mechanics, etc. But they have further embraced technology. You won't imagine that the biggest producer of fire doors and those kind of installations, the fourth biggest, that is a family business. And we have so many, businesses here in Kondele and elsewhere, probably mechanics running their businesses. We have talked about the fish industry. What can we make sure that with the solar that we have and the fishing industry that we have, the combination of the two natural resources that we have, water and sun, we can get something that is transformative to our economy. I believe that as we want to see a Nyanza that is rising, the space of SMEs is very critical. And technology, the conversation that we're having, transforms the small businesses that we're having to be able to bridge the gap, access the markets, to be able to increase efficiency. And so for that mechanic, if they are lining their vehicle, and they were using the camber, previously we were using the camber, the rope, and whatnot, using technology, the computer, when you talk of the limitless opportunities for learning and improving their capacity, accessing the market, I do believe someone in New York still needs furniture, the simple chair, the simple stool. What can a carpenter in Kisumu do to access the market in New York, for instance? In agriculture, using technology, how can we improve efficiency, access to markets globally? Because those are the things that we need to be talking about. Very brilliant conversation over here about fish farming and commercializing that enterprise. How can we improve our access to the market in the sugar industry, in production in our farms, what we could produce in a week, engaging 100, workers, deployment of machinery. What transformation can this produce? As a society, we know that there are things that we cannot outgrow. One is a need for food. We will need to eat, whatever context we are in, wherever we are. Primarily, and secondary to this, is health. And I believe we need to also invest in health for our people. Technology, how can we invest in tech for health and for this reason? And I believe we really need to transform our villages, our communities, through enhanced health and investment in technology. Can we take hospitals to where people are instead of waiting for people who are sick to go to hospitals? Deployment of technology. And it's not as complicated as we want to talk of. We want to talk about machine learning, deep learning, AI and stuff like that. But there are simple approaches to technology. Can we have mobile hospitals, vehicles moving to the communities and getting into the space of preventive care instead of curative care? The space of wastewater treatment, where engineers are in, for example. If I want to treat wastewater in Kisumu City, for example, using traditional waste stabilization ponds, I look at huge or vast amount of land that I need. But I can deploy technology, MBBR, SBR, MBR, etc. And I use a small footprint of a football pitch. And so the conversation of deployment of technology is actually unceasing. We are not only limiting ourselves to fintech, AI, machine learning, deep learning, but all facets of technology that we can use to transform our agriculture, our health, our energy sector through green economy, etc., etc. These are opportunities that we can harness in large scale to be able to and I'm sure this is a conversation that we're having right here in this conference.
Thank you, engineer, for those very informative points. I know if we allow you, you can actually take the whole of this day just telling us on how we are going to do that. I know you are so experienced on these matters. You have a lot of expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand our online speaker is not going to be available, so allow me to go back to our Honorable Governor for Vihiga County, His Excellency Wilibao Tichilo. You mentioned that this in technologies. Could you please give us an overview on where we are as counties in terms of your investments in technologies? What have you done so far, and what are your next steps? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. As Council of Governors has been at the forefront in promoting the use of technology in our 47 counties. And one of the areas that has been of interest to all of us as members of the council is that you need data and information to make a decision. Technology is based on intelligent information. So without data and information, we cannot talk about technology. So one of the areas that we have taken as Council of Governors and even the Lake Region Economic Bloc is to put infrastructure, which somebody talked about here earlier. The satellite technology allows us to get data in real time from satellites. Then as the data gets down to the ground, we need infrastructure for us to analyze, receive, and analyze that data. And that's the infrastructure required is called GIS, or Geographical Information System. So as Council of Governors, we have promoted that, and almost all the counties in the country now have a GIS system that allows be able to use it for decision making, able to link up or be able to fight the vagaries of climate change. Then lastly, we have, through the same program, we have the climate carbon markets, I think somebody from here, farms talked about it. We have, through climate change, there is an opportunity, through climate change, there is an opportunity for us to access to climate credits through various activities in the region. So I would like to say that that's one area of very of interest in our Lake Region economic bloc.
What follows is we need now to see how we can put this into action so that we can realize our objectives. I think the key takeaways that we are getting here is that, one, we need data to be able to make decisions. Without data, we cannot make proper investment decisions, and that requires that we invest in technology to help us get this data. We also learned that we can be able to improve or kind of expand our investments or kind of drive our developments by creating partnerships and also by inspiring entrepreneurship. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the close of this session. And I'll request our panelists, please, you may now disembark from the stage. And I want to hand over to our MC, but before that, I'm told that we should have a group photo with the panelists before they disembark from the stage. Thank you.
And thank you, Prof. Thank you very much for keeping to time, ably moderated. Let's please give a round of applause to Professor Augustine Makoa together with the eminent panelists on stage. Of course, let's give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. That marks the end of the panel and plenary session. Allow me to just give guidance, ladies and gentlemen, just before we break for lunch. Duly advised, we have lunch for each and every one of you, but please get the instructions of how you'll get the meal cards and how you'll progress. The delegates and VVIPs present, you'll be led and ushered to the swimming pool. I'll repeat, the delegates, VVIPs present, you'll be led and ushered to the swimming pool. Delegates, we have lunch vouchers for you by the Ciala Resort Restaurant. Make sure that you actually have an opportunity to visit the same place. This is moving now from the leads to deals conversation, that, as we were rightfully told. So please make sure you do that. Allow me now, just before we break, to give you adjustments for the program. As I mentioned, you can access the program via the Nyanza International Investment Conference website, and please download the same. In the afternoon, we start the sessions at exactly 3 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, we will go straight into the track 1, track 2 conversations on youth entrepreneurship and innovation, education and sports. So please, the moderators, Dennis Odongo, Josiah Morasi, Professor Tom Odhiambo, if you could please stay behind, and also Mairura Mwenga, Professor Migai Akech, and Michael Monari, please stay behind as the rest break so that we can agree on the deliverables for the afternoon. So see you back here at exactly 5 p.m. for the close of day 1. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you back here at the plenary hall for 5 p.m. Close of